compelling detective story, a cloak and dagger action, and a romantic drama, all these stories were taken from real life. The history of Kazakhstan is inseparable from the world history. Reflections on history, our version.
The Secrets of the Ascension Cathedral. This is a chilling story. It happened in the late 60s. The former bishop's house was destroyed because it was considered damaging to the architectural view of the city. When the workers were clearing the area of the ruins, one of them found an entrance to an underground tunnel, entered it and saw a frightening sight. Old books, crockery, icons in gold frames lay scattered around a small room, and a half-decayed skeleton in an officer's uniform was sitting at the table. A bit later, the police cordoned off the place. The people wearing civilian clothes arrived, and all of the finds were taken away in an unknown direction. All the documents relating to the event were hidden in a top-secret folder. According to the official version, they went from the cathedral to the bishop's house and to the house situated on Gogol Street, where the nuns' dormitory was. Those nuns served at the cathedral. They saw that the underground passages led from the Ascension's cathedral not only to the bishop's house, but to other places too. Some researchers saw those passageways. There are myths and legends about the most famous building in Almaty. Inside it, there could be a passage leading further. Everything is clear if an underground passage leads to you out of a building to another source of water. As for this one, we don't know where it led. There are no plans or sketch maps for the underground passages, at least they weren't found. Chapter 1. Birth of Legend. Well, Zenkov, the watchman repeated persistently, it is obvious that you are no local resident. Andrei Zenkov was a person who built this whole city again under the rule of the Tsar. He built everything here, and he built this cathedral too. One of the most famous Almaty legends appeared thanks to the unknown watchman. Although he could just be a fictional character, however, let's move to the chronology. This story opens the second half of the 19th century. The cathedral has not been constructed yet. Only its foundation was laid. Since 1869, there has only been a foundation. Now the materials are being prepared and they're only planned to start working when the spring comes. The Turkestan bishop wrote, in former times, a considerable amount of money was spent on the construction of the cathedral. A lot of that money was spent on no purpose. The amount of rubles spent on the construction exceeded the amount of stones in the building. The first designer of the first cathedral was Andrei Zenkov's father, Pavel. After that, Sergei Brynikov, architect, offered his design, which was found more elegant. However, they laid only the foundation and did not do anything else due to the acute shortage of money. The architects changed and the criteria for the constructions changed too. In 1887, an earthquake occurred. Over 600 aftershocks were recorded in the area of Verny during the 3 following years. Another building design was dismissed because it was not considered an earthquake resistance. They flattened the foundation, planted a garden in that place, established special rules of construction, and announced a new vacancy. In 1899, they approved of Borisov Glebsky's design, which was completed by Troparevsky's architect. The construction was started only in 1904 and was in a different place. The designer did not participate in the building. Andrei Zenkov was in charge of the construction. Zenkov could not be an architect when the cathedral was being built, which is why he signed all the documents as the director of the construction. I worry terribly that another earthquake can occur again. Thus, I ask you to discuss and use all of the reliable means of strengthening the building while constructing it, so that the cathedral, which is being built now, could resist an earthquake. The wooden structure of the cathedral can be fastened with a foundation with thick metal rails, which should be placed deep into the foundations. At last, the estimate and design were approved. Literally, the whole world participated in the construction. The money collected after the earthquake was spent on the construction. The Russian, the Tatars, the Kazakhs, and the Kalmyks took part in the building. The Abdullins and the Saifulins, who were Verny residents, helped. We have the conditions and agreements. There are also applications put in by various citizens. Materials were imported from the whole world too. The cement was from Tashkent, antiseptic for the wood processing from Warsaw, paint was delivered from Moscow. They did that so it could remain for so many years. Well, a lot of different things were brought from the whole world. For example, tiles were from Germany, the impregnation was from Austria-Hungary, and something was brought from Poland. Therefore, we can say the best world achievements of that time were used during the construction of this building. It took 40 years to prepare the design and 2 years to construct the building. During this time, a regular correspondence, including reports, remarks, numerous designs and estimates, was carried on. The underground passages weren't mentioned in any remaining documents. However, the design documents have not been found. The question concerning why the design documents have not remained arose a long time ago. There is a superstition that his wife burnt them. Legend has it that Andrei Zenkov's wife destroyed the documents, but the reason for that is unknown. If it is true, it seems strange that all the design documents were kept in the architect's house, but not in the cathedral archives. Probably they disappeared in a different way. The following information is not a myth. Another earthquake happened in 1911. Although the cathedral suffered significant harm, its bell tower and bent, it survived. When the revolution broke out, the new legend appeared. Chapter 2: The Gold of the Cathedral. The museum attic was the most unusual one I had ever seen. There were skulls in there. You can imagine climbing a narrow, dark staircase similar to the one that leads to the bell tower. Then you bend down and squeeze through a narrow hole, almost lying on your stomach. You immediately see a diffused yellowish light, hear some sharp and fragile sounds in the silence, catch the smell of soil and fat wood. Then the skulls are beneath your feet. Yuri Dombrowski worked at the cathedral, or museum to be exact, for a few years. He wrote about everything that went beyond everyday occurrences. Nevertheless, the writer did not mention about the passages under the cathedral or next to it in any of his books. Why didn't he write about them? In 1929, the believers were deprived of this cathedral, the ownership which was transferred to the government, as we know. First it housed a radio station, then the Museum of Religion, or Museum of Atheism. The rumors that there were some underground passages where gold and valuable things and treasures were hidden started spreading in the late 1930s after the cathedral was closed.
Эти, так сказать, слухи начинают активно распространяться уже в 30-е годы, да, после того, как храм был закрыт.
Legend has it that in revolutionary spring of 1918, Semirachi Bishop Piman suddenly disappeared when Red Army soldiers came to arrest him. People said that he had run away to the underground passageway leading from the bishop's house to the cathedral. The very skeleton in the decayed uniform was a white guard officer who the bishop had hidden. The only official documents were the passages were mentioned where the two denunciations forming on the Bishop Pimen. These documents date from February and March of 1918. There are some other versions according to which that secret passage did not lead to the cathedral but to the governor's house. Legend has it that the Red Army soldiers killed the bishop in the underground tunnel. It is said that during the cathedral reconstruction in the late 1970s, workers by chance discovered an underground secret room where a skeleton of Bishop Pimen was. Fomenov mentioned that some facts in his novel entitled The Rebellion. At times, fighting detachments showed miraculous heroism, courage and bravery. However, they were not detachments of conscious and steadfast revolutionaries. Hooliganism spread as much to the extent as a drunken crowd pulled a bishop out of the home church and shot him in a suburb, although the bishop had not come to trial but been charged yet. Thus, the bishop was really killed. The place where he was buried remained unknown. The cathedral's excellent library, the gold of the church, and numerous icons mysteriously disappeared. They started spreading rumors that Bishop Pimen stole the gold and disappeared with it. They said that he took the gold and ran with it to China. Most likely the communists spread these rumors themselves and had reason to do that. They did it in order to compromise the church. Chapter 3: Myth or Reality. According to Constantine Karalampidis, a film director, there have always been secrets around this cathedral. He looked for the passageways but found something different in the basement. We found a closed basement, the entrance to which was blocked up. There was little space inside the Ascension Cathedral. The only interesting thing we found there was IDs belonging to the Union of Fighting Atheists. In the 1970s, the historical value of the building was recognized and its restoration started. That process passed into legends. Almas Ordobayev architect says that then there were a lot of secrets were uncovered. During the restoration and research, we found a lot of interesting facts. First, there are many secrets about all the cathedrals of the former USSR, and this cathedral was no exception. It is said that if it was wooden, no nails were used during the construction. Of course, this is completely a myth. The building was examined thoroughly, but no tunnels were found. You know, in principle, it was not such a rare thing for the Russian Empire in the early 20th century. However, according to Ordobayev, there were no passages and couldn't be any. It would have been too difficult, too expensive to be exact, to construct them. The topsoil level, the thickness of which is approximately a meter, consists of boulders in a gravel city center. It cost a lot to dig a tunnel in this soil. No additional expense was mentioned in the remaining estimates and letters. According to architects, it was impossible to conceal such an expense because the cost of the underground passages equal to the approximate cost of the whole cathedral. A group of Tatar workers laid the foundation. The head of that group was given 311 rubles for laying the foundation. If they had dug a tunnel leading somewhere, somebody would have had to provide them with money. Am I right? Who needed that? Their main client was the Synod, but the Synod did not need it either.
Во-первых, это где-то должно финансирование. Кто-то должен за это платить, правильно? Кому это надо? Синоду это не надо, а главный заказчик – Synod.
In general, why would a little provincial town need an extensive network of underground passageways under the cathedral? It was not a fortress after all. Although in the beginning the town was considered a fortification, it never had to resist enemies' major attacks. Who could the bishop hide from, and what would he use an underground passage when he was going to Mass? When the cathedral was being designed, nobody thought about any Red Army soldiers. Incidentally, previously an old cemetery occupied the greater part of the park. Digging tunnels for a cemetery seems strange, doesn't it? Epilogue: the unfinished story. Thus, the majority of stories about the underground passages are just myths. However, this fact does not reduce the number of secrets. It is possible that there were some secret rooms or empty spaces, about only which the bishop knew. The clergyman or the senior clergyman of this cathedral could know about. Where is the gold of the church, including the unique icon dating back from the 17th century?
Вот.
In 1929, when it was closed, an inventory was made and it was there. It was transmitted to the museum, but now it can't be found in the museum or the cathedral or anywhere else.
Ни в соборе, нигде нет.
There are various versions. According to some of them, the Red Army collected everything and sent it to Moscow. However, there is a superstition that they did not send it anywhere. The soldiers were like bandits and just stole everything. There are different assumptions concerning that too. It is thought that the clergymen managed to send the church's treasures abroad, for example to China, or hide them in a secret room such as an underground bunker.